Welcome to the show, everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at, is it now or never for Bitcoin? Is it now or never for Bitcoin? And what some people are saying about that. The price is down right now. Where are we sitting at now? $101,100? No, $101,400 where we're at right now. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. Yeah, we had some problems yesterday with the show. It stopped abruptly. I'm sorry about that. Okay. So we're sitting at $3.449 trillion in the market cap. 24-hour volume is 203 billion. Bitcoin dominance 58.2%, down 3 ticks, and ETH at 11.4%. That gets up 4 ticks. Here's a visualization of that market cap for you, where we're at right now. This is a 24-hour trading volume. Bitcoin is trending. Look at that. Shows you how dead the alts are right now. Zcash trending, D Agent AI trending. It's also up 201%. Meme coin, Sudang 281, and Zero. Not sure what Zero is. Okay. We hit the refresh button on this. Make sure it's the latest number. Bitcoin coming in at $101,479. Ethereum coming in at $3,319. Tether almost $1. It's a good joke every once in a while. XRP at 224, BNB at 952, Solana 157, Tron 28.82 cents, Doge 17.24 cents, and Cardano coming in with ADA at 55.66 cents. Well, last hour, Filecoin made a big move. Wow. Proven its blockchain up 7.3%. Litecoin up 7%. All these are in the last hour. Ethereum Classic 5.9, Near Protocol 5.2, Aptos 4.8, Polkadot hanging tough at 36. Render back in the top 100 again today. VeChain, all with big moves over the last hour. So what did Bitcoin do the last hour? Where is it? Did I pass it already? Did I miss it? Nope. Up 0.5%. Interesting, it's only up 0.5%, and a lot of these alts are up, 2% or more. Some are getting a pretty good bounce today. That's a good hour. That's a great hour. You hardly ever see this on the hourly. Filecoin up 100% in the last 24 hours. Near up 37.5%. Zcash 31.9%. So a lot of things up 28 or 20% or more. Is Render is also up 24.1%. Not really that much red today. At Figure HELOC, it's up 565% for last 6 days. I don't think that makes sense. It's been around a dollar. I'm not really sure what to make of this coin. Sometimes it seems like it's a stable coin. I went to the website and the website glitched. So I wonder if it's got any news on it. Let's look at Figure. Yeah. Loans, no collateral. A Figure HELOC is secured with your home as collateral. There you go. Loan amounts from a minimum of $15,000. Ours lines of credit up to $750K. Anyways, back to this ICP having a killer week. Dash having a killer week. Zcash having another good week. Filecoin a great week. And for the 30 days, we've got Zcash coming in. Dash, the highest internet computer ICP, 70.5%, mean core 30%. Altcoin doing pretty well. That's good for them. Good for them. All right, take a look at the Bitcoin chart. Got some things marked off here. Weekly high, weekly low. Yesterday's high and low. This is the VWAP down here, way below the VWAP. Yeah, that's what that is. Yeah. I isolated this little range right here since we dropped, since the $1,000 or the $100,000 drop. Now you see we've gone below it. Feels like it, I don't know. It feels like maybe a long would be good. Bounce off the weekly low. Or I guess we could make a new weekly low. So this is the daily chart. Look at the hourly chart. All right, let's take a look at market cipher. Just had a green dot on the hourly. But the last couple of green dots haven't really been playing out the way we want them to. But it picked that bottom off pretty good. RSI starting to tick up. I'm telling you, I think it's a good time for a long. Slam those lows, came back up. So anyways. All right, let's move on. Talk about the news. Buy Bitcoin now or never. Buy Bitcoin now or miss out forever, says Standard Chartered crypto guru. Standard Chartered, that's a bank. Jeffrey Kendrick calls Bitcoin's dip below 100,000 potentially the last ever, outlining a three-stage buying strategy as a cryptocurrency tests critical technical support levels. Standard Chartered crypto analyst Jeffrey Kendrick has issued a bold call to investors, declaring that Bitcoin's recent dip below $100,000 may be the last one ever. With Bitcoin trading around $103,045 November 6th, Kendrick outlined a staged buying strategy centered on the 50-week moving average at 103,000 and the Bitcoin gold ratio of 30. Ratio threshold of 30. His aggressive stance comes in multiple technical indicators suggest a critical moment for the world's largest cryptocurrency. The timing carries particular weight as Bitcoin currently trades just 1,100 above its 50-day or 50-week moving average. Historical patterns indicate that Bitcoin has definitively lost its weekly support level only 4 times, with each instance leading to tests of the 200-week moving average, currently around $55,000. Standard Chartered maps 3-stage entry strategy. Kendrick's trading plan is broken down into 3 distinct phases, designed to capture potential upside while managing downside risks. He recommends deploying 25% of the maximum allocation immediately at current levels, adding another 25% if Bitcoin closes above 103,000 on Friday. and committing the remaining 50% when the Bitcoin gold ratio returns to above 30. Strategy reflects Kendrick's broader thesis that decentralized finance will eventually overtake traditional finance, with Bitcoin serving as a foundational apex asset that came before it took collapse. Meanwhile, a trader known as Elon Trades on X offers a more cautious approach, identifying Bitcoin's retest of 50-week moving exponential average around $100,000 as a critical juncture. If this level holds, he anticipates a mid-cycle reset over the next leg higher, while a break to the 90,000 and 92,000 demand zone as the next support area. Analysis of 4 major market crashes since 2020 reveals that Bitcoin's pattern is to outperform gold and equities once the initial panic subsides, despite behaving like a high-risk asset during periods of acute stress. During the COVID-19 crash in March 2020, Bitcoin required 2 months to recover to pre-crisis levels but delivered 220% gains over the following 6 months, vastly exceeding gold's 17% advance, the S&P 500's full recovery by August 2020. 2022 rate hike shock saw Bitcoin plunge 53.4%. Gold emerged as the most stable defensive asset during this period, declined by just 13.7%, trading 4.7% above its March 2022 level by April 2023, while Bitcoin remained 26% below its starting point, despite rebounding 58.6% from its October low. More recent episodes painted a nuanced picture with blockchain showing an asynchronous with Bitcoin showing asynchronous behavior during the 2023 March regional banking crisis and April 2025 tariff shock. In both cases, Bitcoin moved independently of equity markets rather than serving as a traditional safe haven, yet ultimately delivered strong returns once volatility subsided. Since 2020, a $100 investment in Bitcoin grew to $1,473 by July 2025, compared to just $209.85 for the S&P 500, representing an 88% outperformance has attracted surging institutional interest. Bitcoin's current consolidation around 110,000 masks extreme fragility, market structure with roughly $11.39 billion in short positions vulnerable to liquidation on a 10% upward move, and $7.55 billion in long positions at risk if price falls by the same magnitude. BALR CEO Farzan Bassani warned that concentration creates a powder keg effect, heightening sensitivity to Federal Reserve signals and trade developments between Washington and Beijing. However, MEXC research chief analyst Sean Young maintains cautiously optimistic expectations for November, projecting that Bitcoin could reach 117,000 if key resistance at $111,000 to $113,000 is broken. Well, feels like it. Break of this level could trigger upward momentum and pave the way for 117 with favorable macroeconomic news, a retest of all-time high of $126,000. Stealth ex-CEO Maria Corolla strikes a more cautious tone, arguing that the market appears overheated and vulnerable to sharp corrections from geopolitical shocks or uncertainty in Federal Reserve policy. If the U.S. shutdown continues and the Fed fails to set a clear rate stance, the likelihood of a repeat test 100,000 remains high when we're there right now. She stated, asserting that Bitcoin now has to prove itself as a mature institutional instrument. So now or never. It's now or never. Is it going to prove it? Well, the crypto bear market, technically it's considered a bear market because we're down 20%. We didn't look at other 20% drops as bear markets in previous markets, though, just to give you perspective. Crypto bear market wipes out almost entire 2025 value gain. It took just over a month for cryptocurrencies to erase almost all of this year's market gains. At its October 6th peak, the total market cap of cryptocurrencies touched a record of nearly $4.4 trillion, with 20% decline since then leaves the asset class up a modest 2.5% for the year. Downturn that began with sudden liquidation of about $19 billion in leverage positions just days after all-time high shattered confidence. And traders show a few signs of betting on a rebound. Performance has shocked few would have predicted in a year defined by a tighter embrace of digital assets by regulators, global banks, and institutional investors. President Donald Trump's push to cement the U.S. as number one world epicenter of crypto unleashed a wave of activity and has sent Bitcoin climbing as high as 35%. Sign how quickly sentiment has reversed. The market value of digital assets is now lower than when Trump took office. That's not going to help at all. He's deaf. Okay. Bitcoin, excluding Bitcoin and Ether, crypto has been largely trading on the back foot for months. There's been little new money flowing into alt tokens or DeFi projects. I agree with that. I mean, it's a fact. With few near-term catalysts and persistent concerns over security and regulation, mainstream participation is likely to remain weak. Jeff May of BTSE said the latest dip in digital assets was partly driven by concerns that AI stocks are severely overvalued. He warned that if we see a sell-off in AI and tech stocks, then Bitcoin is very likely could fall below $100,000 mark, and altcoins could fall even further. Despite the gloom, there are some signs of stabilization after 6 consecutive days of net outflows. U.S. Bitcoin Ether ETFs saw 253 million in inflows on Thursday. Bitcoin's crash below $100,000 isn't the end. Let's see what to make sure we're at $101,200 right now. We have to get through this. For the first time since July, Bitcoin fell below $100,000 on Tuesday. Crypto sell-off saw $1.7 billion in liquidations in 24 hours. Ethereum is down nearly 5% over the past 24 hours, bottoming below 3,200 in Tuesday after-hours trading. Meanwhile, Solana has slipped 20% over the past week. NASDAQ Composite turned volatile as investors sold shares of Palantir after its earnings, reflecting broader profit-taking and high valuation growth sectors. While retail traders reduced exposure, institutional money flowed in a different direction. Bitwise Asset Management has launched the Bitwise Solana Staking ETF, pulling in $417 million in total inflows in 1 week. It's the fastest growing new ETF to launch this year across all asset classes. Investors were clearly hungry for Solana exposure in a simple staking spot ETF. That's big for Solana. Hogan noted that BSOL stakes 100% of its underlying Solana holdings, offering yields of about 7%. He said the fund's early success underscores institutional appetite for staking-based ventures and long-term exposure to blockchain infrastructure plays. Hogan said Solana benefits from 2 major trends: the expansion of stablecoin payments and asset tokenization. If both markets grow, Solana stands to win a larger share, he explained. The network's recent partnership with Western Union Company to issue a stablecoin on Solana added to that narrative. He compared the blockchain potential to the early internet boom, calling it one of the most user-friendly and scalable ecosystems, while acknowledging that Ethereum remains the dominant platform. Hogan described today's markets as a tale of 2 markets. Retail traders face leverage unwinds and liquidations, but institutional investors remain constructive. We have to get through this retail flush out, he said, predicting sentiment could bottom before a rebound into 2026 if professional investors accumulate at lower prices. Yeah, the Bitwise expects more spot crypto ETFs in coming months, including products tied to XRP, diversified crypto index funds once regulators finalize approvals. Money flowing to Solana. Crypto dips below 100K in mid-cycle shakeout amid bond market volatility. Bitcoin dipped below $100,000 for the second time this week, Friday morning, after having dropped 2.7% in the past 24 hours. Bitcoin has lost 9.1% since this time last week. Bitcoin's dip below 100K looks more like a mid-cycle shakeout than a trend reversal. And I agree 100%. ETF data show a net flow of roughly $239 million, suggesting capital is still entering the space despite short-term price pressure. The flow profile implies rotation rather than exit. Investors are redistributing exposure while maintaining risk appetite. Yesterday's Bitcoin ETFs managed to snap their 6-day red streak, pulling in $239 million worth of funds. It had been shaping up to be one of the worst weeks for share redemption since the fund launched last January. Bitcoin dipped below $100,000 on Tuesday for the second time since May. It went there again today. It recovered by midweek, but it slipped again. Deutsche Bank analyst Jim Reed said in a note shared with Decrypt, the current market pessimism can be attributed to U.S. bond market whiplash. Wednesday saw a sharp yield sell-off following a solid ADP employment report and then better ISM services data. He wrote, however, that move was completely reversed yesterday after a weak U.S. job cuts release, with 10-year Treasury yielding 7.6 bips, its biggest daily decline since the U.S.-China trade escalation on October 10th. The decline triggered a global risk-off move, he added, which saw S&P drop 1.12%. On October 10th, President Donald Trump threatened to hike tariffs on goods imported from China by 100%. The resulting panic sent crypto prices crashing and wiped out a record-setting $19 billion worth of crypto derivatives positions in one day. But Chen doesn't think things are quite so dire as they were at the start of the month. He said macro conditions are slowly starting to improve, which should help buoy Bitcoin's price. With the Fed ending quantitative tightening on December 1st, having rate cuts in both September and October, it's gradually turning supportive again, he said. Backdrop makes this pullback a function of leverage reset rather than fundamental deterioration. Myriad, a prediction market, their traders remain bullish on the chances, giving a 55.5% chance that Bitcoin's next move is 115 instead of 85,000. I'm right in the middle of that. But if it goes to 88,000 or 85,000, it's going to bounce back up. Have you guys been noticing how fast Bitcoin does bounce? I mean, when it does bounce, it goes straight back up. If Bitcoin falls, so does the Pentagon. Eric Trump says Bitcoin will be the last asset standing in global meltdown. Let's see. Speaking on energy, Trump doubled down on Bitcoin with an argument that is as audacious as it's absolute. Younger Trump claimed that Bitcoin's energy network is so vast that if it were to collapse, the rest of the digital world would fall with it. If Bitcoin went down, congratulations, the Pentagon's gone. Congratulations, Amazon's gone. Congratulations, Google's gone. JP Morgan doesn't stand a chance. And this is also kind of the idea behind quantum computing. We would lose nuclear codes before we would lose Bitcoin. All right. XRP gives back recent gains after Ripple's announcement of a $500 million investment. Ripple, the company behind XRP and its largest holder, announced Wednesday a $500 million investment at a $40 billion valuation for a number of crypto investment shops, including Pantera and Galaxy Digital. On the same day, the firm also announced a pilot initiative with MasterCard, WebBank, and Gemini to explore using Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD or RealUSD on the XRP ledger for fiat credit card transactions, marking one of the first collaborations where a regulated U.S. bank settles traditional card transactions using a regulated stablecoin on a public blockchain. Let's see. Our RealUSD has seen a 30% increase in its supply over the past month, bringing its market cap to over $1 billion. it's hard not to see this as a precursor to going public at some point. There you go. Warren Buffett inspired strategy drives Canadian Bitcoin treasury growth. Oh, this was a silly story. What happens when long-term investment wisdom meets the fast-moving adoption of Bitcoin? A Canadian fintech is quietly blending patience, discipline, and digital assets, showing that a Buffett-inspired approach might find its footing in crypto. Crypto news of the day. Mogo, a Canadian fintech company, is demonstrating that Warren Buffett's value investing principles can coexist with digital assets. In May of 2024, the company adopted what it calls the Berkshire Hathaway playbook, integrating long-term disciplined investing principles into its wealth platform. The move marked a deliberate pivot away from speculative trading, emphasized patience, temperament, and behavioral discipline, core tenets of Buffett's approach. So basically, this company is in Canada, and they're trying to be patient and have discipline with digital assets. And Warren Buffett would love that. That's what our article said. XRP price prediction, XRP ranked number 2 by analysts, just behind Bitcoin, ahead of Solana and Doge. We just read the super bullish story on Solana. Now we're saying that XRP is a better coin than Ethereum or Solana. Ethereum's not even in their top 3. A well-reputed crypto analytics firm surveyed analysts to rank cryptocurrencies. And guess who ranked second? XRP emerged as the second most popular crypto behind Bitcoin. Keiko, a leading global firm that provides crypto market data to institutional players, shared its ranking for the third quarter of the year. XRP was tied with Ethereum in second place, followed by Doge and Solana. You can see the numbers right here. Yeah. So they tied XRP with Ethereum. They just didn't put it on the graphic. It's whatever. Okay. Samurai wallet developer sentenced to 5 years in prison for unlicensed money transmitting. He admitted to money laundering and a bunch of other stuff. So this isn't that surprising that he got 5 years when he admitted to everything. So, but after Tornado Cash, what happened with its creators? Now what's happening here? You know, if you create money laundering devices, then you can be held liable for that. So, but anyways, guys, that's all we got for today. I appreciate everybody here in the chat. So, all right, guys. I will talk to you guys later. BitBoy out.